Hello and welcome to Legendary Tractors. Traditionally, I have made videos that involve tractors like these. Today, we're going off on a tangent. I follow a fellow on Facebook named Ryan Kelly. He puts up a lot of reels about farming, and he has had a couple recently about the impacts of large farms on rural America, along with labor issues that these farms sometimes create. After watching Ryan's videos, I wondered to myself, is there a way for smaller farms to become viable again? They got me to thinking about large farms, which in turn got me to thinking about large tractors that are so prevalent these days. And then that got me to thinking, this is something that's been going on for quite a while now. We didn't just wake up one morning and find that we had 400 horsepower row crop tractors. It really started about 100 years ago. This was primary tillage back then. Then farmers started going to this by the late 1930s. This here is my dad on my grandpa's 1937 John Deere B. Grandpa bought it new in 1939. Apparently, it had been sitting on a dealer lot for about 2 years. He bought it and a PTO-powered sickle bar mower. The very first PTO-powered sickle bar mower in Schuyler County, New York. It was probably the last time that our family might have been considered a big-time operator. I'm sure that he had a few neighbors who questioned why he needed something like that, but it sure had to beat walking behind the north end of a southbound draft horse all day. His productivity went way up along with his return on investment, and that has been the name of the game ever since. Then, in about 1952, Grandpa bought a 1951 John Deere Model A that was similar to this unit. Same kind of deal, sitting on a dealer's lot. In 52, the Model 60 was probably the hot unit for sale, and the dealer was willing to make a deal. So, in one fell swoop, Grandpa just about doubled his horsepower. Again, he got better productivity and a better return on investment. So that gets us into the 1960s and 70s when horsepower doubled yet again with all of our favorite muscle tractors. Farm size probably doubled too. However, there were only about half as many farms as there were in the 1930s. Getting a little off track here, but that is the coolest custom paint job ever done to a Farmall 806. Anyways, the process has been going on and on, basically doubling in horsepower and therefore acres per hours worked, and improved return on investment about every 10 to 20 years. We have now arrived at something like this. The interesting thing is that this isn't even the biggest. Case IH makes bigger. So what's next? I would think that we are approaching peak return in the law of diminishing returns when it comes to tractor size. The industry has become very efficient at covering a lot of ground in a hurry with tillage, planting, and harvesting equipment. More specifically, one operator has become more efficient at these tasks. But this has come at a cost. We now have issues like soil compaction causing yield loss. Hedgerows are getting removed here in the Northeast at a ridiculous rate, which may be causing environmental issues. Trust me, I'm not a green weenie, but things need to be kept in stasis. Start taking away too many things, and it will somehow come back to bite. And then there are the infrastructure issues. Typical roads and bridges out in rural America just are not meant to be utilized by machines of the size that we are now seeing. And then there's the issue of monoculture. Big tractors and big implements minimize labor and maximize efficiency. This all works best when planting the same rotation of crops over hundreds or thousands of acres. The downside to this is reduced biodiversity and increased pest and disease pressure. Soil health takes intensive management to keep it from degrading. There are typically higher input dependencies for fertilizers and chemicals as well. And finally, there are vulnerabilities to market prices. We all know what happens when the price of corn and soybeans gets low. everyone starts looking for a bailout. So let's look at what is coming. Straight from John Deere, fully autonomous tractor. Imagine a tractor that not only thinks, it sees. A tractor that's always ready to work. A tractor that lets you and your operators tackle other jobs while it does its job by itself. The first job you can tackle is tillage with the John Deere Autonomous Tillage Solution. Orders will open soon, but in the meantime, here's an inside peek into autonomous farming. Hand-on or hands-free, the Autonomous Tillage Solution has a fully equipped cab with operator controls. When you want to drive it, drive it. But when you're short-handed, have a tight weather window, or just want to spend more time with the family, you have an out-of-cab option that tirelessly works for you while you tend to other important things. Tech for the future now. Ready your fleet. The 8R, 8RX, 9R, and 9RX tractors, along with a CC Series Coulter Chisel, 2430 Chisel Plow, 2230 FH Field Cultivator, HSD Series High-Speed Disc, and 2660 VT Variable Intensity Tillage all come with autonomous ready components in base. Already own a John Deere tractor or tillage tool? The John Deere Autonomy Precision Upgrade enables a simple solution to convert existing equipment, minimize hardware complexity, and reduce or eliminate barriers to entry. Work you see, work you control. Using Operations Center Mobile, you can monitor your tractor anytime, anywhere with a smartphone or tablet. You'll also receive alerts if the tractor senses an obstacle or mechanical issue. And live video access gives you real-time views of what the tractor is doing at any time. Swipe to start work. Once pre-season prep work is done and you're in the field, putting the autonomous tractor to work is fast and easy. Transport your tractor to the field, configure it for autonomous operation, swipe right on your tablet or smartphone. The tractor will start, scan for obstacles, and signal all clear if none are found. Then it'll automatically start the work you planned for it. So right now, this is only available with the really big 8R and 9R tractors. But what happens when it becomes available on smaller tractors? Let's take a look at some numbers. I went on to Deere.com and priced out some tractors. I picked one or two from each class. This may or may not be an apples-to-apples comparison, as I took the base model for each. The only upgrades that I did was to make sure that they all had front wheel assist and cabs. Next, I noted the horsepower of each model. Then the base price. Next, I took the price and divided it by the horsepower. What this shows is that the smaller tractors with Deere are less expensive on a horsepower basis, although there were a couple of outliers. As a side note, I did a similar analysis with CNH products, and they kept their dollars per horsepower much closer across the board. Finally, I took the price of an 8R 410 and divided it by the price of each of the other tractors. This gives us the number of the smaller tractors that could be purchased in place of the 8R. So up until this point, the name of the game has been how much work can one operator get done with one tractor. Now, imagine having a fleet of 17 tractors instead. Same amount of work still getting done by one operator, but instead of having all of our eggs in one basket, we have 17 baskets. With that 8R, if it breaks down, everything comes to a complete halt. If one of the 17 breaks down, well, we are down about 6% of the fleet. Not optimal, but we are still making a lot of progress. Additionally, we have a lot less soil compaction, which means much better yields. We can now run these units down a road without wondering if every bridge that we go over is going to stay up. And it allows for crop diversification, as some of these units can be set up for different types of production, and time that is spent physically operating a tractor can now be used to much more intensively manage specific crops. This is important as diversification allows for the spreading out of risk, ensuring profitability year after year. This technology is something that likely won't just help out the big guys get bigger, but can help the little guys as well. I recently watched a video in which Jordan Peterson interviewed Joe Salatin. If you don't know who he is, look him up as he has a lot of ideas about small farms. Joe stated that for each agricultural product, there are 4 phases that it must pass through: production, processing, marketing, and distribution. Production is all that we have talked about today. Processing, marketing, and distribution are what? The hated middleman. If we can take a big chunk of that time used for production, then perhaps farmers can focus on using it to figure out the processing, marketing, and distribution portions of the puzzle. And that is how I would answer Ryan Kelly's question of how we get back to smaller farms. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on the subject. I would also really appreciate it if you would leave me a like and subscribe to the channel, as these things really help me to bring more content to you. Check out my other videos and follow along at my Legendary Tractors Facebook page as well. I hope that you have a great day.